Welcome to my tutorial on how to correctly perform and learn the pattern Dan Gun Tul. This is the second pattern in the ITF, or International Taekwondo Federation, canon. The new techniques introduced in this pattern are the double knife hand guarding blocks, the square block, the high section punch, the knife hand strike, and the high block or rising block. Just like the previous pattern, Chunji, this pattern only has two stances, the front stance or walking stance and the L stance. As we discussed in Chunji, the walking stance or front stance has 1 shoulder width in width and 1.5 shoulder width in length. The front leg is bent at 120 degrees. Both toes are pointing in as much as the same direction as possible. And the weight distribution is 50-50. The L stance has the feet in the shape of the letter L, drawn from the pinky toe side of each foot. 70% of weight is on the back leg, 30% on the front leg. There's no width, and there's a 1.5 shoulder width in length. For the double knife hand guarding block, front palm out, back palm up. Make sure the back palm is not touching your body, but right in front of your solar plex. The front elbow does not pop off to the side, but stays down. Make sure the front elbow is bent at 120 degrees and the wrist is straight, fingers together, thumb out and bent. The backhand is the same. Make sure that elbow is at 120 degrees on both sides. For the chamber or preparation for the double knife hand guarding blocks, the hands do not get closer together and the elbows do not bend or extend. You reach them back so that the front hand is in line with your eyebrows and the back hand is in line with your back ear. You remain palm to palm in your chamber and your hips and shoulders swivel in, as if you're holding a pad or a duffel bag. You reach back and then you throw the bag forward as you double knife. Flip the hands at the end of the double knife hand guarding block, not the beginning or middle. Don't straighten your arms and don't reach them too far back and tighten the muscles. Don't reach straight up, higher than your eyebrow or hairline. And don't swoop down and in for the block. In the white belt form Chunji, we punch shoulder level. In Dan Gun, all punches are aimed toward whatever level your nose is. So don't punch straight, punch slightly up. The first half or first 8 moves of this pattern go left, right, front, or red, green, orange. Begin Dan Gun in a parallel ready stance Jimbi. Reach over your right shoulder, grab your bag for your double knife chamber. Shift your left foot to the left, land in an L stance double knife towards red, left. Step forwards into a front stance. Punch to the high section or nose with your right hand, landing in a front stance. Grab your bag directly in front of you in your next chamber. Pick up your front leg, follow your butt 180 degrees towards green or your right, L stance, double knife. Step forwards with your back leg towards green into a front stance and punch with your left hand to the high section. Cross your arms for the low block chamber, just like in Chunji, over your right shoulder or right eyebrow. Your front foot picks up. You spin 90 degrees towards your butt, towards orange or straight to the front. Land in a front stance, low block. Step forward into a front stance and punch with the former back hand, now your front hand, to the high section. Step forward a second time, punch to the high section in a front stance. Step forward a third time and punch to the high section in a front stance. And this concludes the first half or first 8 moves of Dan Gun. For the second half, you're going to go left, green, right, red, then to the front or back of the room to the yellow. Then you can go left, red, right, green. For the first move in the second half, you're in the front stance, facing towards the front or orange. Your back foot is going to pick up. Swing behind you towards your butt. So your left leg will go over your left shoulder, past your left butt cheek, all the way around 90 degrees until that left foot becomes your front foot facing to the green. So your back foot picks up, follow your butt, swivel towards it, and put that foot down in the front in an L stance. After you spin this way, you want to perform a square block. The front arm, or the arm over your front leg, should be palm out, 120 degrees in the elbow. the knuckles the same level as your nose. The backhand should be performing a high block towards the belly button side or front-facing side of your body, directly up from your hairline. The back elbow should also be at 120 degrees. Both wrists should be straight. The chamber has the arms crossed in close to the chest. They extend together and then open and flip the wrists at the end of the block. Make sure you stay sitting backwards in your L stance as you throw the square block forwards. After you complete the square block, you're going to step punch by bringing the high block hand to your belt, stepping forwards and punching to the high section. Now let's run through the first half of Dan Gun again. This time we're going to add on the spin around backwards square block on both sides section. So go ahead and do everything we've just practiced so far, from the double knife to the 3 punches forwards. Then cross your arms. Your back foot follows your butt 90 degrees, square block, step punch. And then your front foot follows your butt 180 degrees, square block, step punch. Repeat this sequence several times until you get it down really well. The other 2 new techniques in the second half of Dan Gun are the high block or rising block, as well as the single hand knife hand strike. To perform the high block correctly, we're going to make a front stance and cross the arms about eyebrow level, about a shoulder width away from the head with the elbows at 120. The hips should start completely side facing and then twist to quarter facing as we go into the rising block. This is to block something coming down in a strike towards the top of your head. Make sure that the wrist is right in front of the center of your hairline. Don't bring it from your belt directly or cross your arms in close or from the center of your body like this. It doesn't have nearly as much power as when you chamber correctly. Don't chamber too high either. If you do this, then you tense the muscles and you reduce speed. To perform a knife hand strike, you cross your arms in the exact same spot as you do for the high block and the low block. You open your hand, it should be shoulder level, and you swing it in an arc, slicing to the side of the body with the part of the hand between the wrist and the pinky knuckle. Don't cross the arms too close to your body. Don't unfold the strike from the elbow. It should all come from the hips and the shoulder. Don't hug yourself. Don't pull the arms in too close. It should be a relaxed motion with a nice arc in the path of the hand. There's one more new element to introduce for the second half of Dan Gun. It's a stationary sine wave motion that you do out of a front stance. So make sure the toes are pointing in the same direction. You're going to bend your back knee so the heel comes up. Straighten the knee, lift the heel higher, and then with a straight leg, drop the back heel. This is done after a low block, and you cross your arms high into a high block or rising block. Let's get to it. You cross your arms, your back foot follows your butt, 90 degrees, square block, and step punch towards green. Cross your arms, front foot, 180 degrees, follows your butt towards red, square block, step punch. Cross your arms and low block to the back of the room. Do your down, up, down, stationary sine wave, and high block with the front arm. Step high block 3 more times after that stationary high block. Cross your arms, your back foot follows your butt 90 degrees to red, L stance, knife hand strike, step punch. Front foot follow your butt 180 degrees, knife hand strike to green, step punch and a front stance to green. Let's break down the second half of Dan Gun again. From the square block step punch, your front foot spins 90 degrees towards the back of the room, make a front stance and low block. You're going to do the stationary sine wave, down, up, down, and the same hand that did the low block is going to do a high block. You cross your arms high, step high block a second time. Reach over your front shoulder when you chamber and step into the next high block. You do 4 high blocks total. 3 stepping, 1 stationary. After the last one, your left foot, your back foot follows your butt 90 degrees towards red, make an L stance, knife hand strike. Step forward into a front stance and punch him in the face. Then your front foot spins around backward, 180 degrees towards green, L stance, chop. Step forward into a front stance, punch to the face. Make sure the shoulders are squared. Here's some things to keep in mind once you get more advanced in doing this pattern for higher ranks. The wrist should always be straight, be it for a knife hand, the back of the wrist, and the inside of the wrist from the radial bone to the first or pointer finger metacarpal. When you're doing a high block, the wrist should be straight. Don't bend it inward. When you do the double knife hands or the chop, don't bend it inward. When you do a punch, don't let your wrist bend in any direction, but straight. Straight is the way that the bones in the hand, the wrist, and the forearm align most efficaciously. It's very common when you high block to bend the wrist in and not to put the elbow up high enough or for the arm to drift off to the side of the body. The center of the wrist should be in line with the center of the hairline and extend up diagonally. The elbow should be bent at 120 degrees. If it's too low, when the downward strike comes, it will hit you in the head. It should hit and fall off or slide off to the side. The elbow should be at a 120-degree angle. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about sine wave transitions because a lot of people don't use them and because I talk about them in my sine wave or generating power tutorial on my YouTube channel. But know that it consists of a down, up, down motion. First, a forwards, a down, a central up, and then a down into the attack in the direction you're going. Now, do-san is the first time in a pattern where your back foot follows your butt into the technique. In chunji, it's always the front foot following your butt, either 90 or 180 degrees. For this transition, you go forwards down, look over your back shoulder as you rise up, and then drop down into an L stance. Be careful not to let the weight go over the front knee when you drop down into your L stance, or to let more than 30% of your weight go onto that front leg while you're dropping down into that L stance. Another important element or advanced aspect of the pattern that I covered in chunji tutorial, but think is important to cover here as well, is the angle of your hips in a front or walking stance. If you're doing a block, like a low block or a high block, rising block, your hips should be quarter facing to present a smaller target. If you're striking, your hips should be full facing, and your shoulders should coincide with the angle of your hips, either open or closed. Thank you so much for watching my video on how to correctly perform the pattern Dan Gun. Don't forget to share, comment, like, subscribe, check out the other videos on my YouTube channel, and don't forget to click the button to make sure you get notifications when I post new awesome videos.